The good news is it's not Monday anymore. It's a Tuesday. Welcome to Tuesday. Time for the Classic Guitar Rock Daily Update. This is a pensive episode because we have some news that's not good news, but it's news all the same. We need to talk about it. And thought provoking, right? I think there's some things that we can think about today. Sad news, right? A few things. Toby Keith. I'm not a country fan. My wife tends to be more of a country fan, but I'll occasionally get drug out to a country show every now and then. And about 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, I had the chance to go see Toby Keith. Toby Keith just passed away from cancer, 62 years old. Country artist, but a rock and roll spirit, right? In fact, in one portion in the show, his band, they did Stranglehold. And it was, it was awesome. It was an awesome version, and they just shredded. So, and the whole show was really good. I left that show being a Toby Keith fan. Just put on a great show. Cancer, right? And it just makes you reflect on your mortality, right? 62 is not old. 62 is a young. You're still young at 62. So, our condolences to his family. And he seemed like a great guy. He friends with Sammy Hagar. Again, he was a country artist, but very much walked that rock and roll line, and a fan of rock. You could tell when you see him live that there's a lot of rock and roll elements, and sad to see him go at such a young age. So our condolences to Toby Keith. Also, on this date, way back in 2011, we lost the late, great Gary Moore. I've talked about Gary Moore, one of my favorite guitarists. I'm one of the few that preferred Gary's rock stuff to his blues stuff. And I get flack for that because a lot of people think of Gary Moore as a great blues guitarist. And he is a great blues guitarist. He's just a better rock guitarist, in my opinion. And I love his, couple of my favorite albums, Corridors of Power and Victims of the Future, phenomenal, great rock, heavy rock albums. And his guitar playing is phenomenal. KC's Fantastic Voyages chimes in. Sad news, great talent, referring to Toby Keith. I think that always also. Oh, and they say that Gary Moore fan too. Also, so Casey's Fantastic Voyages. Thank you for chiming in. None of us are going to get out of this alive, right? Yet it's still very sad when we lose people. Recently, Toby Keith. 2011, Gary Moore. And one more item here. The great Steve Morse. Steve Morse, who spent the last 20 years in Deep Purple. Also was in Kansas for an album. Of course, came to prominence in the Dixie Dregs. Way back in the day, it was either in Guitar Player or Guitar. I think it was in Guitar Player. Steve Morse had a regular column. And I can remember reading through the Steve Morse column, and he was way up. I was a 14-year-old pimply faced kid trying to play pentatonic scales, but I would always try and muddle my way through the Steve Morse lessons. And I think he was on one of the sound pages. Any of you that read Guitar Player, they would have the sound pages, which was a vinyl record that was, right inside the magazine. You could tear it out, and it was a little floppy vinyl that you could play. Steve Morse had a few of those also. Steve Morse's wife, Janine, passed away on Sunday, also of cancer. Steve had to leave Deep Purple about a year and a half ago to take care of his wife, who was in stage 4 cancer. She was in remission for a while. And in fact, Steve, for a few months, was able to go out and do some solo dates, and Janine actually went with them and helped, selling merchandise and that sort of thing. I'd seen some photos and I thought, well, awesome. She must be doing well. The reality is when you're in stage 4, that's stage 4 for a reason, right? But Steve posted a very heartfelt message on social media, and our prayers are with Steve, as Marlon points out here. Our condolences to Steve and his family over the loss of his wife, Janine. And they've been married, but like for years. 40 years or something. They've been together a long time, and sad. So our condolences to Steve Morse and his family as they mourn the loss of Janine after a long battle with cancer. Man, not a happy update today. I'm sorry about that. Here's something else, and this won't make you happy either. David Lee Roth. Remember, David Lee Roth surfaced here a few weeks ago, kind of bashing on Wolfgang. And now he's back for more Wolfgang bashing. After referring to him as this effing kid in a recent YouTube video, it looks as if David Lee Roth is taking aim at Wolfgang Van Halen yet again in a new video in which at first he seems to apologize for his previous video rant. Roth says, "I've upset some people, and I love my old rock band, and I miss Ed, and I didn't mean to upset anybody." This quickly reveals itself to be a facade as he says, "Psych, F you." And then he just, I won't go into all the details, but he's basically picking on Wolfie. And I'm like, why is this? Why are you choosing to do this to Wolf? What did Wolfgang ever do to you? I don't get this. I don't understand. It's not a good look. So I don't know what this is all about. And of course, Sammy and Dave are always trading barbs. Sammy's response to this was, maybe Dave needs to get a new dispensary because the one he's using ain't working. Oh, well. Dave, come on. We kind of liked it better when we didn't hear from you as much, if this is all we're going to hear. I'm just saying. I do have an email I want to get to. Dear CGR, hey, just interested in your thoughts here. I find that hard to believe that someone's interested in my thoughts. Hey, just interested in your thoughts here. I am a sucker for the Outfield. Perhaps they aren't classic rock, but I wore out their first 2 albums. And am I wrong for liking them so much? Signed, Mystery Man. Now, because I am a Outfield fan myself, I know what he means by Mystery Man. It's one of the songs on their debut album. Got a letter from a mystery man. I wore that album out. There is no shame in being an Outfield fan. Are they classic rock? Heck yeah. Why not? Play Deep, the first album, Bangin', the second album. Voices of Babylon, was that the third one? I don't know. I'm a sucker for the Outfield. What's not to like about the Outfield? Great vocals, catchy hooks. It's pop, but I like pop. I like the pop music. You hear elements that kind of remind me of Men at Work. You hear some things that kind of remind me of Rush, all in a pop top 40 format, and there ain't nothing wrong with that. There ain't nothing wrong with that. Okay? So don't apologize for liking the Outfield. I love the Outfield. Sadly, Tony Lewis and can't remember the guitar player. They've both passed away young. I mean, Tony was like 55, and I think the guitar player was like 52, died way too young of cancer. I think both of them died of cancer. But never apologize for liking the Outfield. I love the Outfield. In fact, I'm going to go listen to the Outfield when we're done, just because you got me thinking about it. The Outfield's a great pop band. They had some great tunes. They opened for Journey, I think on the Raised on Radio tour, maybe it was. I didn't see that tour. My friend did, loved it, said they were great live. The clips you see of the Outfield live, they sound really good. So yeah, never apologize for liking any type of music. Guys, let me wax eloquent for a minute, okay? There is a whole industry that crosses multiple industries built on opinions, okay? I listen to a lot of sports talk radio. What makes the popular sports talk host popular? There's an illusion that they're popular because they know so much about the game. No, that's not it. They're popular because they sound like they know a lot about the game. It's about the forcefulness of their opinions. Think about famous Colin Cowherd, Stephen A. Smith. Pick your sports broadcaster. They aren't any smarter than any of us. They don't know any more about sports than you or I do. Okay? Me, obviously, I'm a little I'm nobody, but I don't know any more about classic rock than anyone. It's all subjective. It's all opinion, right? Eddie Trunk doesn't know any more about classic rock than anyone else does, but he's got a platform and he's got an opinion. At the end of the day, all we have is our opinions. It's all subjective. Never feel like you have to apologize for your opinion or for what you like. Because guess what? You can't be wrong, right? You can't be wrong to like whoever you like. What's my point? My point is act like you know what you're talking about. That's the secret. Act like you know what you're talking about, and no one will know the difference. Okay? Sports, music, politics, pick your punditry. It all comes down to your opinion and how passionate you are about it and how you can present it. That's all it is. No one you hear on the radio is any smarter than you. Okay? Seize the day, seize the carp, whatever that is, right? Go out and do it. Yeah. Okay. Let's at least get to some comments here. Marlon says, can you imagine how much greater the outfield would have been if the guitarist played a Les Paul? Okay. So, however, he often would play like a Gibson 335, kind of a less polished sound. He'd also play a Telecaster, but I think his Telecaster had humbuckers. I'm a fan of the Les Pauls, though. I mean, you got a good point there. Greg F chiming in says he's a Gary Moore fan, great blues guitars and hard rock with Thin Lizzy. Who can forget Gary Moore, of course, a part of Thin Lizzy and Coliseum. Some great Coliseum, a little more on the progressive rock side, but Gary Moore is phenomenal. Also, Greg, huge fan. He and his mom were huge fans of Toby Keith. So thanks for chiming in. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate all your support, and we'll do it all again tomorrow right here on the Classic Guitar Rock Daily Update. Live long and prosper. Bye-bye.